Well, thank you for still being here. I was expecting there to be like 3 people here at this time, so shout out to all of you. My name's Lil Perp. My real name is Chris Heaney, and yeah, I'm one of the technical co-founders of Drift. Today, I'm going to be talking about Swift, which was a recent big upgrade we pushed for Drift, with the goal of pushing us closer to being providing that centralized exchange like trading experience. The main like tactical goal of this presentation is to kind of explain to you how Swift works. And then the more meta goal is to kind of give you insight into how the architecture, some of these new just-in-time liquidity mechanisms on Solana work. So it's interesting. We just had Double Zero up here talking about IBRL at the physical layer. In the meantime, as the network keeps scaling, what you're seeing right now is a lot of DeFi is moving to RFQ JIT style models to provide better liquidity in the meantime. So hopefully this gives you some insight on that. So yeah, Swift, what is it? It's an extension to Drift protocol. It enables faster fills, better execution, and gasless trading. And one thing I want to stress is it's still on the Solana L1. It's not an L2 or an app chain. So we're really committed to continuing to build on the L1. We're one of the only perp decks to do so. So for those who don't know, Drift does a lot of things, but one way to frame it is it's an auction-based trading protocol. So what that means is every market order on Drift is actually a Dutch auction, which has a start price, an end price, and an auction duration. When you send a market order, basically what's going to happen is liquidity is going to be aggregated across multiple sources, virtual AMM, an order book, and just-in-time makers. Just-in-time makers are market makers or searchers that basically will see your order, place and fill you atomically, so they don't need to leave any liquidity resting on a book. And a tactical technical thing about Drift is in its old instantiation, to place an order, you actually need to land a transaction on Solana, which even though Solana is a great fast blockchain, it can still be slow versus some of its sex counterparts. Once you actually initiate this order, keepers and market makers race to fill you using the liquidity sources I mentioned above. So here's a little architecture diagram. Um, you basically have a user, they sign a transaction, they send it to Solana. Once it's confirmed on Solana, keepers and market makers can see it, and then they'll submit a transaction to actually fill you on chain. So every order requires 2 transactions, which isn't the end of the world, but obviously when network is congested, it can be a bit slower, and that's frustrating for traders who need really fast execution. Um, so, oop. So Swift is our basically upgrade to make it so it's faster to do trades. Instead of being 2 transactions to get a trade in, it only takes one. The way we do this is we use what's ED25519 signature. For the devs in the room, this is the security patch Solana had to do the other day. Basically, what ED25519 signature is, it allows you to use your public key to sign a message. And then on chain, you can verify that that public key signed that message. So it's kind of like a transaction, but it's not really a transaction. You can sign any arbitrary data, not just the transaction format. And so how we use this is we let users basically sign their order params, and then we can take that signed message and we can broadcast it off chain to market makers and keepers, who can then take that message, bundle it in a transaction, and submit both of them together in one transaction. And what's cool about this is, one, because the user who's placing the order isn't actually sending a transaction, they don't have to pay any gas fees, which is actually great if you're a power user. And then two, just broadcasting that message off chain is a lot faster than having to land a transaction on Solana. So after Swift, you can see my designers made a beautiful slide showing the Swift node. A user is going to sign a message, and they're going to send that message to the Swift node. Then the Swift node is going to propagate it directly to market makers and keepers, and then the market makers and keepers can bundle that into transaction and send it directly to Solana. So yeah, what are the benefits? One, faster fills. So now instead of having to land one transaction to place your order, you can just send it to a market maker directly. Market makers tend to be sophisticated technical users. They have great RPC infrastructure, so they can land your transactions way faster. So even though it goes from 2 to 1 transaction, it's actually more than 50% faster because market makers just have way better internet, et cetera, et cetera. So they land transactions way faster than users. The next thing is better trade execution. Because you're getting filled faster you're in your auction from when you actually place an order, it's less likely that you've had the price of the underlying asset move against you when you go to fill. When that happened in the old version of Drift, basically you place an order, the price moves against you, you have to wait longer to fill, and you end up getting more slippage. Now that your trade is executing faster, it's more likely to be in the beginning of your auction. You're more likely to get filled at a good price. Another benefit is simpler integration for market makers. So on a SEX, market makers are used to WebSocket APIs. They're really easy to integrate. RPC infra on Solana, though it's gotten a lot better, can be a little bit clankier and has like different APIs. Cool thing about Swift is now we allow you to just subscribe to a WebSocket API to get market orders, so it simplifies the integration a little bit. As I mentioned a few times, we get gasless trading. So a user doesn't need to pay any fees to submit their order, which when things are going crazy and there's a lot of congestion is a really useful feature. And then there's no compromise on being deployed on the L1. So I'll talk a little bit more about this on the next slide. Um, because of the way we use ED25519 signatures, all trades are still actually placed on chain. All execution happens on chain. There's no sequencer off chain that is actually doing the trades, matching them, and then has like some whitelist or admin permission to post the trades on chain. What's good about this is one, there's multiple market makers, there's multiple keepers. So if one of those entities goes down, you can still get filled. Two, if say Swift node goes down and you can't send your signed message to them, you can always still use the old way of placing an order, which is signing a transaction and sending it on chain. So this kind of works how like forced inclusion for an L2 is supposed to work, where if the sequencer goes down, you can always just still go back to the L1. With Swift, it's the same thing, but it's actually implemented where, because we built that the way the first time, if Swift goes down, you can't sign a message and use Swift. You can always just place your order on chain. Furthermore, all the assets are still stored on chain. All of the deposits, withdrawals go through the L1. So there's really no security compromise here. It's just like a faster lane for you to place trades. And if anything happens to that fast lane, you just revert to the normal behavior. The other benefits are a little bit more qualitative, but Drift's one of the OG protocols on DeFi protocols on Solana. So we function as one of the DeFi primitives for a growing ecosystem. Have over $1 billion in TVL and a lot of integrations on top. And we're really committed to staying on the L1 because we believe in the world computer and composability thesis. We've seen it benefit ourselves, so we're really basically just trying to IBRL and push performance and stay on chain, whereas a lot of the competition is going the other direction. Sometimes that leads to like certain technical difficulties, but our plans are measured in centuries, so we're okay to just keep optimizing and making that better and have this unique position as one of the DeFi primitives on Solana. And then one of the main things that make an L1 so valuable is this native assets and content creation that's happening on the L1. So as you guys all know, Solana has a bunch of unique assets, meme coins being the most obvious, DPIN, AI, a lot of cool things that are coming through the pipeline, and then obviously everything that's going to come in the future. So Drift really wants to be there and be that core DeFi infrastructure for all these assets that are going to be deployed on chain. You look at things like L2 and app chains, maybe they have slightly better performance, but then it's just like there's just copy and paste of each other. Like maybe you can just have some wrap stable coin on there, but there's nothing really unique to trade. Versus for Drift, being very plugged into the Solana ecosystem, we think we can provide really unique forms of assets and perp markets to trade, where the users on Solana really want to trade them because they're plugged into the ecosystem. So those are all these reasons why we've basically gone with continuing to push Swift instead of pivoting to doing an L2 or an app chain. In the future, still more improvements coming. So for one is representing hidden liquidity. So I talked a little bit about just-in-time makers. The issue with just-in-time makers is they don't have any liquidity showing on the order book, which for a lot of users can be frustrating because they don't know exactly what the size is, like what size are JIT makers quoting right now. So one thing we're currently working on and hopefully rolling out over the next couple weeks is allowing like JIT makers with high good reputation with the protocol to basically send indicative quotes to the UI that show approximately what they're willing to JIT make. The goal here is just to give users more reassurance on what the size of the JIT makers are. And then the next one is more experimental. My quant came up with this, so I don't know if we're actually ever going to do this, but an idea we're playing around with is stake for order flow, where because you have these orders routing through the Swift node, you can actually delay who gets access to the order first, or you could give privileged access. So one thing we're playing around with is basically based on how much drift you have staked, you can get a pro rata share of first look at certain orders, with the idea being that stake drift is aligned with the protocol, and then you should get slightly better advantage in filling orders first. There's some concerns around this being anti-competitive, so we're still doing some research, but the idea would be like everyone still gets access to the order eventually. It's just the heavily staked drift market makers could get first look, and they would have to fill users at their best price in the auction. So more coming with Swift. It just rolled out about a month ago. Over, I think 50% of volume is currently flowing through it. It's a lot faster. Users like it a lot. So we're pretty confident this is a big upgrade for Drift. It makes the trading experience a lot better, and it's going to enable us to keep serving as one of the core primitives for Solana DeFi. And I finished 3.5 minutes faster, so you all get out of here sooner. Thank you.